Greetings and welcome to Rise of Industry 2, a new complex logistics simulation where you build factories, manage supply chains, find lucrative contracts and expand a business empire. I've already played the predecessor and was eagerly awaiting the sequel, and boy, we're in for a treat. The game expands on many systems, making them more streamlined, and also adds 15 challenging scenarios in a campaign mode that we're exploring in this video. There's also a sandbox mode where you can freely expand the business on a huge map. This is a sponsored video series by SomaSim and Casado Games, and I'd like to show you hands-on gameplay. Also, since the game releases today, please don't forget to check out the link in the video description to learn more about it.
It was not a bribe. I accidentally dropped the envelope of cash while visiting the precinct. You know, kid, the moment I saw you, I said to myself, this kid's got something. A little rough around the edges, sure. A lack of style, maybe. Bad haircut. But the kid's got something. And then I said to myself, you know what this kid's got? Raw materials, baby. The kind of raw materials you find in Cleveland, Ohio, home of the Cleveland Browns, birthplace of rock and roll, and your first stop on the way to the top. This city is sitting on a metaphorical goldmine of natural resources, all of it waiting for someone to come along and extract those raw materials so they can be transformed into something truly spectacular, just like I'm going to do with you. So I want you to get out there and show this nation that the heart of industry is still beating in Cleveland, Ohio. And for God's sakes, would you please do something about that hair? You're making us look bad.
Alright, thanks for that. And here we are on a new map. On the first map of this game, Cleveland was an industrial superpower, and while it may seem that those glory days have faded, all of the key factors that make Cleveland a powerhouse remain unchanged. And with that, we can start the scenario. We can also start with an investor that gives me a bit of funding that we can use to build us our very first industry. Number one is Thelma and the other one is Mildred, and both of them have different goals that we need to obligate, right? So for Thelma here, for example, she wants to have a steel production for us up so that we sell carbon steel. Mildred, on the other hand, wants to go the glass route, right? So we can go with both of them. Thelma gives me a bit more money, so I'm going to have with her, even though steel is a bit more expensive to make in the beginning. And with that, here we are now, finally on this map. We got now the funding, the 300,000 plus the 50,000 that we start with on baseline, and we're on this huge map now, as we can see, with, well, not a lot of things going on. We have one thing going on, and that is Cleveland over there. That city, it's a small city at the moment. We can develop it further to add some more districts and get some more workforce out of that, as we need workforce. But for now, I think this is fine as it looks. Let's have a look over here. And yeah, we need to get a steel production up and running. And for this, we can look at my production manuals. This is the very first thing that I would like to do right now, and just check out what we need for that steel. All right, so we can just search it for that. Carbon steel and stainless steel. Both of them need coal and iron ore as an input that we can then process into steel. And out of that steel, well, we can make a whole bunch of new products, for example, cars and planes. Sounds interesting, sounds very profitable. Now, what we need to is coal and iron first. For both of them, well, we do need a mining deposit, and we also need raw materials that we need to have on the map. So let's check this out. Get my resource deposits going, and as I can see, well, we got water, iron and sand very close to my headquarters. That's convenient. What we can also see is that there's not a single coal deposit on the whole map, so we already have a bit of a problem there. But before that, let's actually start with, our very first industry, and that is then also my very first complex. So the game is kind of like divided into complexes, and in these complexes we can process resources. We need the mining complex as my very first one, and of course we need to make it so that we place it on top of the iron deposit that we have over there. So let's get started with that. And I'm probably gonna do it, just opposite of my headquarters, somewhere here. And now we need to start with a bunch of new buildings that we want to have then in addition. The first one would be a central office for the mining that needs to have a road connection. Let's make this one actually on the very other side of the whole thing. Then we need to have our iron shafts. Let's go ahead and try to squeeze in one here. And we can still get another one on the other side later on to push out more iron, right, if we need that. well as a road. There's two types of roads in this game. So we have the highway, that's the public roads, and we have the access roads, that's the roads we have within a complex, right? And it's very important that we connect everything in a complex with a road. So number one is my iron mine. Very nice, right? But this is not enough, of course. The whole complex needs water and it needs power. We don't have that. So let's go ahead and also start with that. There we have them. Power line connector and water pipe connector. What I can see is that there's my power line, the public one, and there's also a public water vein, a water pipe, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and have both of them, yeah, probably somewhere here, a bit further outside, because we want to save the space then. Let's make this a connection as well. On the other hand, we need to have the power line then connecting. There you go. And we need to have the water pipe connecting. The cool thing is, well, we can connect them, both of them together, right? So we can kind of like combine them into one tile to save space and also make this one more efficient. By the way, it's all being built right now, right? So this takes time. And while this one works, we can work on other things. First of all, we also need, for example, storages. Otherwise, we cannot store the resources. So we need to have a mineral storage yard. And this one, let's just make sure that we do have enough room for that mining that I want to have here, right? So I'm going to have this one probably somewhere here along the way, right? Going to the offices. And then we also need to have a loading facility where trucks can enter the facility to trade with it, right? So think of it, this one here, as a smaller island, right? That produces, has an input and output. It has a docking bay, it has a warehouse, it has connections for supply like power and water. And yeah, well, it has a road connection. There's my loading bay. Loading bay number one. Probably will need more down the road as quantity goes up, right? And there we have the connection. One more thing, highway connection. Let's expand the public highway over here so that all of this gets connected. I think with that, the mining facility is already fine on its way now, right? Being built. We got a mission there. Ready to get it going in Cleveland. There's some funding from the state of Ohio available here to help new industries get off the ground. If you want, I can give you some guidance. I'll take any help. So with that, we get a clear objective, making a lot of steel in Cleveland. Frank will help me out. We can also go with the middle ground, give me some smaller money, right? And begin the mission's first steps. Or also just say flat out, I don't need any help from you, Frank. Let's get the 200,000, and I think I'm gonna go ahead with this one, right? Get a bit of additional funding, $500,000 we have right now. That sounds great. We still have, of course, the scenario goal, right, for a company. Nivo plan, yeah, that is probably not very original, and we need to get the steel going. So steel needs iron and needs coal. So we need to have a processing industry going, right? And for this, we start a new industrial complex, and that is the metallurgy complex over here. That is my processing one. Bear in mind that is just something I want to show you, right? This game, I don't know, it has hundreds of resources, right? So let's just check this out here real quick, right? That's all the raw materials you can have, logs and sand, and you can also have them processed into glass and into products that you can sell then, right? We also have the agricultural products. We have the consumer goods, right? Like furniture. Furniture actually has 3 inputs like wax, lumber, and glass. So this game is complex. It has a lot of things going on in the background. So we want to start small, right? We want to make this one clear as day. Let's just have my metallurgy going on somewhere over here. And with that, I also need, once again, my office. Let's have this one on the other side. And then I also want to have my connection. The cool thing is we already laid out the pipes here, right? And the power line. So all I need to do really is I'm just going to place them on the other side so that we combine this line here, right? Providing for both of these districts here. Very good. Let's have my access road going all the way here to the other end. All right, so we have the connection, and also make it so that we have a bit of room for all the industry we need. What we also will need here is actually 2 depots. The first one is the industrial storage. So this is the input that comes in. And then we also have the mineral storage. Sorry, it's the other way around. The mineral storage is the raw materials coming in, right? And the industrial storage is then the output, because this one stores, for example, the steel. Let's just check it out where we should have this. Probably somewhere here close again, number 1, and number 2 on the other side. and also make it a nice access road all around that. So we're still in the early stages of the game, right? We're still trying to make a foundation here before we get the money rolling. Let's go ahead and have my first truck bay here, and we also need a mineral truck bay. So I'm gonna go ahead and have both of them here together. And also connect them here. This is done. Power is coming in, water is coming in. All we really need now is also a building that processes that. And there we have it, the carbon steel blast furnace. And this one consumes coal and iron to make carbon steel out of that. It also generates waste, and it employs 45 workers. Right, so we still have enough workers out of the city where we're close to. And lo and behold, yeah, I can safely squeeze it in here. Nice. And build me also my first carbon factory. Yeah, still lots of construction going. We need to actually get going with the next thing while all of this is working, because right now we're bleeding money, right? So I want to get my first export going as quickly as possible. And that would be then also here my contracts. And we need to start with a new contract here. We do have John Kyle that is working for us on this, so let's assign him. And let's get the coal in, because remember, we don't have any coal on this map. So I need to import it from someone else. And I want to purchase coal. And Inland Energy Minneapolis would have coal available there. And let's go with the smaller volume here. We can always adjust this one, but 50 tons is fine. And this will cost me $1,250 every trade. Actually not that much money for 50 tons of coal. And let's sign the contract. There's a day and night cycle, lovely to see. There's also, as we can see, bridges, right? These are public roads though, so they're not my own roads, right? There's also trains in this game, but we are not having access to that in the first mission, I think. Yeah, Cleveland will profit from our industry. Let's speed up time there a bit. And as you can see, a whole bunch of things are rolling in right now. And that's, for example, the trade contract here now that we finalized. And yeah, we get a bonus because of our good relationship with this company. We actually get a discount of 15%. Very good. Every dollar counts. Let's roll this one in. And with that, we're getting now raw material of coal in. Very nice. And yeah, there it is, John Kyle, right? He's the guy doing the job for me. He's my only employee, by the way, right now. That's us, right? And yeah, we have a whole bunch of additional positions in the future then. All right, this is still going. I think the coal should also be rolling in, so we can have a look at my corporate headquarters over here. Your central building, more or less. And this is where you have your import and exports working, right? So we get the mineral storage here, for example, and the industrial warehouse in this complex. And here, the coal should be rolling in soon. Oh, we also have something. Elizabeth Moore, your trusty executive assistant, reporting in addition to my day-to-day of keeping you caffeinated and your schedule plugging along, I'd like to help out with an extra task. How should we enlist her? Let's work towards one of our investors' goals. Busy, very busy. We could decline. Oh, okay. Look at that. I can't do that because we need a VP of operations here or a VP of research. Let's get cracking though, and yeah, let's work on the goals that we have for this scenario. Oh, a bit of rain comes in. So she wants to help me build and expand the carbon steel. And yeah, that's what we are going to do. All right, so we have this one and sell 350 coils of carbon steel. And after a bit of time, the last building is being finished as we speak. And once this one is going, we have the whole industrial setup, the beginning, right? And in this case here, we also get the first drop off of coal now into my warehouse. There it is. And with that, we have coal. And in my industrial complex, in my mining complex, we also have now iron ore, right? Both of them are in. And that means it's time for the first trade routes. And there we have them, deliveries. And let's add them. And we're going to start with getting coal from my headquarters to my metallurgy complex, right? And with that, we get this one going. I would also like to have a delivery now of iron ore from my mining complex going, right? So with that, both of them are in. With that, we're having an output though, and that is the steel, the coils. So I'm going to make this one right away. Carbon steel. And we're going to get this from the metallurgy district to the headquarters over there. All with a baseline of 1 right now, because we need to check out how much we actually consume. All right, once this is working now, there it is. Beautiful. Lots of details. All right, now we can see that we need 2 tons of coal per day, right? And 4 tons of iron per day to produce 4 coils of carbon steel per day. So 2 coal, 4 iron ore. And I can now adjust that in my trade routes to have 2 coal coming in per day and to have 4 iron coming in per day. This produces 4 carbon steel per day that we can then once again deliver back to the headquarters. Let's do this. Production is running, and also my trucks should be on the road now. There they are. They're now delivering the resources back and forth. Perfect. And also the first carbon steel is now already in my headquarters storage. What to do with that? Well, we want to sell it, of course. And for that, we need a new contract now. And I'm going to negotiate a new contract. John, you're going to do the job again. And we're going to select now carbon steel. And we get 2 of them. Both of them have an okay relationship with us, right? So Harry Mason and Francis Mason. Let's go with this guy here. Okay, so he would take bigger volumes, right? Oh no, okay, she actually takes every 3 days. He takes every 6 days. It's the same volume for both of them. So with her, I can calculate we are producing 4 per day right now, right? So we could go with the highest one, right? Small scales. Yeah. 12 coils every 3 days would lead to an expected profit of $4,500 per sale. And we can do this, right? Because we do have the volume for that. So let's try and sign this contract. It takes a couple of days for them to negotiate the right price. Gotta make sure at this point now, because we're gonna go ahead with the first contract, that we always fulfill it, right? That means we always need to have production going. Right now, we don't have that. It's red. So let's just check out what the problem here is. There's not enough input. Yeah, there's not enough input. I think we're not just getting enough input going. So I would like to readjust my trade routes here to get me 4 coal in and 8 iron. Oh, we can actually only make 6. Because we're then at the maximum mineral loading bay, right? So we need to do something else here. We need to add another loading bay to this area here for the minerals loading facility, because they're overloaded. That's another level of complexity that you need to consider when you get this done, right? And for this, let's have this one going over here. This will be built. While this is under construction, we have the contract update, and because of good relationships, we also get 15% a 15% better price in, right? So the revenue will be a bit improved here, and yeah, I'm ready to sign. With that, we have a revenue now coming in, which is important because we're bleeding money. All right, welcome to Fair City. I'm Ann Jenkins, the mayor of Cleveland. You've expanded quite nicely. I'd like to propose our municipal government as a potential partner. So how can we assist? Flat out money we could take, right? Either in smaller payments or in a big payment right away in a lump sum. Or we could also get more research points. And I'm a big fan of research points. Yeah, 1,500 research points. Thank you very much for this. But now we're seeing at 2,000. The research we need a lot of research, because every single product, every single production needs research, right? Before we can actually start with it. And we're gonna need a lot of research down the road. So the roads are getting busy, as we can see. And also my capacity has been increased now. And with that, let's go ahead and say 8 iron comes in per day, right? We wanna make sure that this production is always working. We can also see here my bay usage, right? So we are halfway there now of what the capacity would be. And there it is, my first sale. We sold the first 12 coils. As we can also see here, it's ticking, and this brought me in $5,000. This feels really great, right? As my very first action that we have. Now, I wanna scale things up. So what we're doing right now is we've already prepared this area here for another blast furnace, because of course we wanna speed things up there a bit. My profit and my mission. So I'm gonna build me a second one, and yeah. The only limit we have is space here, right? So I can just go ahead and have another one if I'm feeling up for it. And I think I do, honestly. So let's build a third one in here right away as well. Let's make an access for these guys. over here. This connection. So this will lead to a lot of increased consumption and production, of course. Also, as we can see, my water usage is increasing with that now. And consider extracting groundwater myself, because right now we are, I think now, yeah, demanding way too much water. Electricity is still fine, water is not. So we need to start producing our own water. The public pipes won't do anymore. I would also like to have another mining going. So let's have the next iron mine shaft going here. Oh, wait a second. You know what? I think this is too risky, right? What we're doing is I'm gonna cancel this project there. Save me the water again and just see how it works out. I think we can afford a second contract with this now, right? Without having to increase things too much there. All right, there's a potential business partner coming into town, and he invites me, and I love to join you. And with that, we can improve our influence and our relationship with him. So that sounds like a very reasonable thing to do. All right, let's take a look at my water again. We can modify the agreement with the public services, right? So right now we're sitting here. And I think though we need, oh yeah, we need a VP of operations. So I need to have more staff now. Let's have a look at that. VP of operations, and let's find us someone for that. And we found Alan Wilson or Thomas Turner. Both of them have different traits. She's actually level 1 and she's organized. That gives me an increase in my loading bay capacity by 10%. That's actually pretty neat. And also the daily delivery cost of stuff is reduced. That sounds pretty cool, right? Also, we get an increased factory daily production. This guy here has also the 10% and his Luddite. So for farms and mine output is increased by 10%, but he is only level 0. She's better. So I'm gonna go ahead and hire Ellen, and she can do the job for us. She can hopefully also negotiate a better deal here, better infrastructure, and yeah, increasing the supply, please. Let's go ahead and do this and try to get things going here. All right, we finished the next factory in the meantime, so I can also now push my output a bit further. I would like to do this. So that's another 4 tons coming in every day. And with that, I can now start another contract for selling my carbon steel to someone. And we already have a trade deal with her going, so I would like to go with him. And it's 4 per day, right? So we need to be careful here how we assign this. So theoretically, of course, we can go with the highest coil here again. I would like to reserve me some buffer though, just in case we have problems, because you absolutely don't want to miss a deadline, right? So let's sign this contract here. This will still lead to a very nice profit. All right, contract update 16, very good. Get a better price out of that, and let's accept. And with that, we have now 2 export contracts going. Also, utility upgrade. Pay 10,000 in order to increase the regional capacity, and doubling that. Of course, that's a very small price to pay, right? And with that, we are within the limits again, which is important for my factories to work efficiently. With all of this rolling, we also have a calendar over here where we can see our upcoming events, right? So we can also see what my approximate profit is right now and when we sell things. In 2 days, we sell more carbon steel. In 3 days, more carbon steel. And we gotta make sure that we have this one, of course, in stock at all times, just to stay true to the contracts. We got 60 coils right now. So we are actually making a nice bank there as well that I can sell in addition. So we have, I think, 4 tons per day right now still available. All right, we have met one of my investment obligations, the steel SAP. So fulfilling goals is by investors help me advance to the next round. Very good. And that was with Thelma, right? So goal number 1 has been achieved, steel SAPs. Have a look at the details there, produce 200 coils. Next goal would be produce 500 coils. Do we get any additional funding out of her? No, I don't think so. Since we're making a bit of too much surplus here, I could go ahead, for example, with Harry Mason here and renegotiate the contract. And that is that I want to sell more to them, please. We also have the medium sales coming up here as my next level, since we have leveled up with them, right? But I think 24 coils will be just fine. And with that, we can sign the contract again to maximize our income. Environmental Protection Agency, hi there. I know we can have sometimes confrontational relationship with industry folks, but this time I'm here with an opportunity. We're looking for some industry insight. Give over some existing research to the EPA in exchange for some cash. Oh wow, 1,800 research points. I can't do that. Sorry, no. Alright, we're getting introduced now to other corporations out there. So we got Francis Mason here, and these are then connected with Empire Mines, for example, and Cartage Services. So you can just see how complex this game gets. We haven't even unlocked most of the things here right now. That's also pretty important, as we can then also trade with other continents. For now, we're making a meager profit, right? And with that, we have also achieved our coil of what we need, and we now need to start a new contract of a medium steel sales agreement. So let's check this out again. I think for this I should probably cancel one of my contracts if we can do that. That's probably not gonna be so easy. Or we're gonna choose this guy here again. Oh no, we need 20 influence with him. That's not gonna work out right now. So let's actually go with her again and negotiate a medium sale here of 32 every 6 days. We're still making a surplus, so this should be fine. And with that, we have also now agreed to that. Very good. Increased the contract and also finished that mission. All right, all done, boss. Finished up the task. Get a cash return or research points. I think this time around I would go with the cash. So far so good. With that, we have our foundation. We haven't even started processing steel yet, as that will be pretty much more complicated. And we should also increase the volume. And I probably should try and find coal on this map. Perhaps that's possible. So this is Rise of Industry 2, available on Steam now. Don't forget to check out the link in the video description. And we continue onwards in the next episode. Stay tuned.